Hey fam, my name is Vito and I have a pleasure to be a part of Magma Studio, the browser-based art collaboration platform for artists, studios, and communities. If you don't know us yet, please visit magmastudio.io and check our innovative software for digital artists and art fans, where you can have a great fun with friends, create beautiful and also professional drawings together with up to 30 people at the same time on one canvas in real time. Today, I'm honored to invite you to an interview with the incredibly creative people who are the founders of Laurel Pursuit. Their team uses our tool in their daily work, and they represent a very interesting industry related to comics and digital art. Laurel Pursuit is an up-and-coming webcomic manga and music studio with a mission to entertain and inspire audiences through the power of digital storytelling. My guests are Taro Nakagawa, co-founder, CEO and writer, currently focused on growth, operation, and talent acquisitions. Griffin Walsh, a co-founder, creative director, and writer, currently focused on pitching new series to publishers and improving brand strategy. Plus, two special guests, Telano, CEO and founder at VoiceMe, the first English-originated manga, webcomic, and light novel platform, and Chen, a famous novel manga and comics author. During our conversation, in the background, you will be able to see how their team of artists create together on one canvas an artwork for their comic entitled Audia, Kingdom of Stars. Feel free to follow Laurel Pursuit on social media or join them on Discord for the latest updates and behind-the-scenes content. Also, don't forget to follow Magma Studio's social media so you won't miss another interesting content from the digital art industry. For today's interview, I have prepared many interesting questions that I have combined with questions from our community. So I hope these questions help you better understand what the webcomic industry is and why you should follow the projects of such a great team as Laurel Pursuit. If you have any more questions for our guest, please leave them in the comments below the video. We'll be happy to organize another webinar session, especially for you. In the background of our conversation, you can see the drawing creation process of your team from scratch, entirely created in Magma Studio. Can you explain what the scene is about and what are the characters shown in the picture?
Here you can find a nice holiday seasonal theme to the illustration. We wanted to bring something at the end of the year to celebrate the success of both Magma Studios and Laurel Pursuit this year. And we included characters both from Audia and from two of our manga series, upcoming manga series, Kita no Mirai and Lotus Prison. So you will find all those characters in a nice kind of interaction in this composition here.
Very good. And where did the idea for your company name came from? Like, what does it mean to you?
I could talk about it a little bit. So
yeah, that's interesting. Actually.
Laurel Pursuit, yeah, it's a unique name. And what it references is the idea of pursuing your dreams or pursuing achievement or success. It's something we want to do internally, always be chasing something greater, but also it's something we want our stories to represent, that in your stories you're pursuing greatness, you're pursuing success.
Very good. Is there anyone who in particular influenced your creativity and style development of writing when you started your career as comic creators? Or what were your early inspirations? Do you remember? Like, what kind of mangas you were reading to every day?
You know, I've seen so many series and read so much manga that I would say generally there's two things. The first being, I feel like all anime and manga have a similar ethos or similar understanding of the world, which is that even if you don't fit in, that you can achieve great things or achieve your goals through hard work and through a positive mindset and like accepting others, which is something that really you don't get in a lot of content in America right now or in English language content. And I feel like anime really provides a positive outlook while also being really exciting and cool. And then, so that's kind of a general inspiration. And then I would say more specifically, there are some series that really impacted me, which would be something like Naruto when I was really, really young, just how big the world could be and yet easily digestible. Something like One Piece too. And really another big one would be Full Metal Alchemist. That story is everything that Naruto and One Piece has, but it presents it in a more mature and also much more compact way, so that every bit of the story is interrelated and is exciting and that would be what I would say the ideal version of a series would be Full Metal Alchemist. If I could create anything like that, then I would consider my life a success.
And what have you found to be the most challenging part of the creation process? Is there any? What is, in your opinion, the hardest part of that?
Well, I could talk about it as well. So I think the most difficult part of actually the creation process is kind of what Taro hit on earlier, where it's going from a really good product to a final finished product, where everyone is excited to create the storyboard and to create the characters and to go in there and put some color in it. But in order to create that really, really high quality product that separates itself from all the other webcomics and that looks professional, it takes a lot of little edits, right? That changing the color here, making sure the color palette is all working together, making sure there's no extra colors and making sure you cut the borders of each panel in a certain way that makes the character really pop out at you. All these little things are not only difficult to find and to figure out how to fix, but they're also something that is less exciting. And so, it's harder to get people to do and can almost take as much time as actually creating the bigger stuff like the storyboard and things of this nature. So that would be the most difficult part, and it's something that we've had to work on.
Very good, very good. You mentioned before that your team works completely remotely, isn't it? And from many different countries, from Asia, also from Europe. Some people are from Europe, some from States. And I'm just wondering, how do you cope with the challenge of coordinating the work of the entire team when multiple artists are in different time zones, works in different time zones? Like, how do you share the roles in the team while working on the concept and final drawing?
Yeah, it's been a lot of experimentation and learning over the last year since we've started. Of course, communication is a huge factor when you're working on a team, especially creatively. You don't want to step on each other's toes. You want each artist to shine, to do their best work, and have the best role. So I think being very clear about each person's role and what they're best at, and trusting them to fill in this role because you trust that they're very passionate about the project. Even if you're going to break down the roles within a webcomic team to line artist, colorist, background artist, all of these different specialized roles, you still need a very clear vision for the story and for the project overall that everyone can unite around and work towards. We are a young new studio, and we are working with really passionate artists, like you said, from around the world, where at the end of the day, the time differences kind of fade away because we're working all together collaboratively. And in some ways, we can reference that Magma Studios has really helped us to accomplish this. And one thing that's really possible in Magma Studios is the ability to collaborate in a shared canvas in real time. So with our projects, oftentimes we will be using a cloud-based system so that artists can access the same files of the project and stay up to date about what their teammates are working on. But in these systems, cloud-based systems, only one artist can access the file at a time. But in Magma Studios, we can work in real time to be able to make revisions and at least have a base understanding that revision is going to be in line with everybody's vision for the project. So this is a big value we've found collaborating with Magma Studios.
Very good. And you're using the studio version, and just wondering how you use this version of the software, and what's the most significant value for you? Like, and what features do you most often use when collaborating on drawing with your team? Like, but you said you're using mostly for revision, but is there anything else which you really admire from the studio version, because it's a little bit different than Pro and way different than freemium?
Absolutely, the studio version is really incredible. One thing that I have to highlight about Magma Studios is that the UX is very, very accessible in our opinion, for all of the artists that we've brought onto this platform since starting. Have found the experience and the interface very, very accessible and very similar in many ways to other platforms that they've used. So there is not a high barrier to entry. Any artist, in our opinion, can come into the platform and begin working in a very positive way. The other thing is, we can talk about the social components, the ability to chat amongst the team directly in the canvas, and to even have voice and things of this nature, to be able to store various assets and reuse them is a really wonderful capability. For each artist to be able to, for example, flip the line art that they're working on without affecting other users in the platform who are also working. Let's say somebody's working on the color, but the lead line artist flips the canvas because they want to see, how is the anatomy working. This will not affect another user, which is a really wonderful capability. And we are still finding every time we use the platform more ways to utilize these advantages, these collaborative advantages, and resources. And we're also really excited about the opportunity to work directly with Magma Studios and provide feedback to the platform so that in the future, as we integrate this platform more into our production of series, we are able to create the best software and the best technology to meet the demands of the production of digital art and webcomics more specifically.
Sure. Yeah, feedback is very, very powerful for us actually, because like we're trying to develop our app, like depend on the feedback which you're giving, like, so, and all the artists gives to us, like, so this is precious. Brandon, please tell us how you met Taro and Griffin, and what can we expect from this cooperation?
Yeah. So I think Griffin and Taro had seen some of my work previously. I think they'd read God Game or something, and then they reached out, or also saw some of my work maybe in the manga space as well. So they reached out to me, interested in a collaboration on this series called Audia. And so, yeah, that's kind of what we're working on together. They're mostly on the story side, creating the story, the world, it's their baby. And then I'm kind of like the script writer, kind of taking the story and, creating the script and kind of implementing that as well. So that's mostly what our current collaboration is. And I'm not sure what I'm allowed to talk about, but like, yeah, there's going to be stuff going beyond that. But that's for now what's on the table for now.
Okay. And could you tell us more about your like personal experience from the industry, like what you are working on now? And
Yeah. So in the kind of webtoon space, I'm writing 2 original series for webtoon. One is called Just a Goblin, and then the other one's called Samurai no Tora. So those are both coming out early 2022, which is quickly approaching. And a scary amount of scary quick. I also have 2 series with Tapas as well that are novels, and then hopefully some comics are coming pretty soon. And then I also have 3 serialized series, webtoon series with VoiceMe, and I think the CEO of VoiceMe is going to be coming into this call pretty soon. So yeah, I have 3 series with them as well. And then in addition to that, I also do manga projects on the side and novels as well. So staying busy.
Brandon is a very busy man.
Yeah, it looks like. It sounds like.
Yeah, I wonder if one of the last things maybe, Brandon, you can touch on is just like your story, because you have a really cool story of like starting out writing novels as a teenager and then kind of moving into manga and then webcomics. So if that, maybe you could just touch on like that progression and like how you kind of got there, and then content creation, all those kinds of things.
Yeah, my origin story is kind of weird. So I've been into manga since I was very young. Like I was creating they call them manga names. I was creating manga names as young as like kindergarten. So I was creating those names and I used to sell them to kids on the playground when I was younger. Obviously they weren't like inked or anything like special, but that's how early I was starting to do manga. Eventually I came to a crossroads when I was in high school. I used to be an artist, and I was deciding between doing art and writing. And so I flipped a coin and decided to pick writing as kind of like a focus, because I felt like I was being torn between these 2 different things. And it's hard to progress both at the same time. So I went into novel writing because it's hard to, I didn't know how to like implement scripts or anything like that. So I created my first novel and it got, exploded online on this site called Wattpad, and then eventually got published when I was 17. And then I kept writing novels throughout college. And then eventually started to build a readership in the novel space and got an opportunity to write for Western comics when I was in college. So I started writing like a one-shot Western comic. I'm not even sure if it got published ever. It's like totally like a small project, but then that really got me like realizing that I can use my writing skills in order to kind of create stories that are also very visual, right? That's like how I learned how to write scripts and stuff. And so I got into writing manga, and so I eventually started to do like this series called Somnia. Got picked up by a publisher, and then and then the quarantine hit, and I was like, oh no. I was working this finance job at the time, and I started to make like these videos based on like my kind of writing experience and in the manga space and the novel space, and they started to blow up. And then I started to get more opportunities, right? Like writing for VoiceMe, and then eventually writing for Webtoon and Tapas and stuff like that. And as my portfolio kept growing, I think the reason I blew up on social media was because I was doing this actual Shonen Jump Tezuka was happening, which is like this really big contest, international contest. And one of my projects was one of the most read, and it was like snowballing. It was like a really good project, and then also like people were seeing it was a good project, and then it was exploding, and then it kept exploding. And then people started to follow me, and more opportunities started to come. And then eventually, now I have so many serializations kind of in production and coming out that now this is what I do all day. Yeah.
Full time. Mm-hmm. One thing we really respect about you is how you're able to market your own work, and you don't really rely on anybody else, whether it's even the biggest platforms, right? You don't rely on them to market your work. You have a really cool story about kind of starting this Instagram account as more of like an anime, fan group, and then ultimately leveraging that, right, to promote your own series and creating this whole narrative around kind of that Bakuman vibe of really breaking into this industry yourself. So could you speak on that?
I think a lot of writers or just a lot of creators are putting them in a position where they're good, they can create something cool, but then they put themselves at the mercy of a lot of like the business side and the marketing side. Whereas me, I always saw it like, if I have the marketing power, then like a lot of these publishers can't take advantage of me. It's like there's no longer like a middleman. There no longer do you need a middleman, because you can self-publish yourself, and if you can deliver things directly to readers, then hey, Telano's here. But like I was saying, if you can deliver your projects directly to readers, then you don't have to rely on like a publisher that can't give you a good opportunity, right? So yeah, I decided to take things into my own hands, where I'm posting like content that I like to do because I'm very passionate about anime, manga, and all that stuff. I'm passionate about my own projects, but I don't want to just keep posting about my own projects. It's kind of like egotistical too much. I'm just like, okay, I want people to be interested in me as a creator, as a person, and also like all my projects together, right? So like it's like any project I put out, like hopefully they'll be interested in, because they're not just tied to one project. They're not just tied to God Game, right? They're interested in me, right? As an author, as a creator. So
yeah, Brandon, thank you so much for your time.
Thanks.
We'll be in touch with the final cut of the video.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Have a good
All right.
Say hi to Telano for me if he can't hear me.
Yeah, he's here, I think.
Yeah. So you also work closely with one of the most important webcomic platforms, VoiceMe, funded and managed by our today's special guest, Dylan Telano. Dylan, could you tell us more about your platform and what's special about it if we are interested in webcomics?
Yeah, definitely. So as a whole, to kind of give some background on VoiceMe, it's really this first webcomic and web novel platform made for this new and growing Western audience. And our goal isn't just to kind of supply comics to read and, to write, but it's really kind of changing the way that comics and manga have been read in the past. And we're kind of doing this by making a new reading experience that is completely immersive and interactive. So kind of which we'll go into here, adding kind of like sound and adding animation and almost trailers and augmented reality to while you're reading comics, it makes it a more interactive experience. So the best kind of little teaser and how I can explain it is, imagine if you're reading a comic and you're seeing a character swing a sword. Instead of just kind of seeing the art of the character swinging the sword as you scroll down, you would see the character swing the sword as you're scrolling as it pops out. And when it hits the target, your phone vibrates, boom, bam, pops out. and you see the character that was struck fall backwards. So it's really building a new interactive experience that really takes the reader into the story in a new level. So it's kind of these two elements to it: is interactive, immersive element, and kind of working with this new Western audience that really never had a chance to directly explore their voice on a platform built for them.
Yeah, I have a question for you as well, because something you talk to about us a lot that you haven't had an opportunity to touch on is that VoiceMe is a really creator-friendly space, and that's something you're putting a lot of attention into, not just on the fan side and the audience side, but also being a place for creators to come together. So if you want to maybe talk about what you guys are doing to make that the case and help creators.
Yeah, definitely. So something that I really wanted to build VoiceMe on, and this was actually the core reason of why I even built the platform in the first place, was to really make it creator friendly, focus on the creator first. Something that has happened is that the creators in this space have kind of been neglected or not properly recognized. It's a lot of work to make a comic. I mean, especially if you're doing everything by yourself. And just creators weren't seeing the respect, more or less, that they deserved up to this point. So what we kind of done at VoiceMe is the first major thing is really making revenue accessible for creators. That is like the number one priority of us, is that creators can now make money from their story. It's as simple as that. And if they can make revenue from their story, they can continue doing what they love, maybe pursue it full-time, part-time, then they could increase the quality, the speed, they can grow the team. There's so much that you can do. So something that we, as I keep saying, is really just making the revenue accessible. So creators can easily enter an ad share program, generate the most revenue they'll see elsewhere. We built a whole sponsor a series kind of base functionality into the platform where you can support your favorite series, another way of direct kind of monthly donations. There's a lot of ways for kind of building up this creator relationship and being creator friendly. That's kind of been our focus, through revenue, through helping the discoverability of new creators, by helping creators work together. It's really the creator first. That's kind of been the mission of us. And I'm glad that, for DDA, that was kind of shown a bit through the VoiceMe side, that we actually are creator friendly and we care about the authors, the artists, and helping them come together to make an amazing story.
So maybe through the lens of DDA, can talk about the launch of the app.
Yeah, definitely. So DDA is one of the series that we're kind of tying into when we're launching our app, which is a really big thing because historically up to this point, we've just been like a kind of a website and a mobile optimized browser on the phone. And the app is more or less really where people really read their content. So it's very important that we're launching this, and it's coming out soon, which is great. And with this, as we kind of just alluded to, we're tying DDA to that launch. It's a new series that we're adding, obviously, into the platform as a VoiceMe original. Very excited for it. I think that it's kind of exactly what we're looking for as a platform. The genre, the storytelling element, the uniqueness of it. And one of my favorite things when looking at and building these kind of, as you said, flagship stories, is that when you read it, you don't realize that there's a whole nother level of plot behind what's really going on. It's always been like my favorite thing, reading a story and reading it twice and like, oh God, I didn't even know this. Mm-hmm. Or just like not reading through something and be like, whoa, this got completely like crazy. This is amazing. Those are like my favorite things while reading. And I think a lot of that is seen in our originals, and very excited for DDA to kind of join the train and join the library as that.
Mm-hmm. Very good. And what is the best way to join to your platform? Like if I am let's say I'm an artist or some group of artists to create webcomics and to your platform.
Yes, there's a few things. The first thing is heading to voice.me, the website right now. That's where you would post your content. We made it super easy. You can upload a story in under like 3 minutes. Basically, you just sign up for free. You go right to your dashboard and you can start making your series right there. And it's as simple as uploading images and formatting it how you would like. And then if you kind of want to interact more directly with our involved community of current artists and current authors, where we host a lot of like events and competitions, maybe for the writing side or the art side, you can also join our Discord.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Dylan.
Thanks for your time and all the answers. I have to ask this question, as I'm a musician myself. Music plays a big role in your comics, and what was your main consideration when choosing a soundtrack composer for your productions? Could you tell us more about Cole Fraudlish and why did you decide to work with this producer actually?
So music is really important in webcomics, and I think that's something that will become increasingly important over time. I think Dylan talked about this a little bit, which is that webcomics are special in that they're in between American comics or print comics and anime. And one of the best parts of anime is the music that really, creates an atmosphere around every scene. And so when creating the studio and when creating comics, something we both really were excited about was bringing music to every single chapter and kind of being able to create our own atmosphere around the comic in a really beautiful way. And this is something we believe will become standard in webcomics in the future, and that we want to be one of the first people to really pioneer this. And then in terms of picking a music producer, Cal Freundlich is, someone I've known for a long time. He's currently studying film scoring at NYU, so it's something he's really passionate about. And also, when we reached out to him, was already working on composing the soundtrack for a video game. And we felt like there's actually a lot of crossover between what we're trying to do with webcomics and what he does with video games, which is making sure that at the right moment, a certain sound comes in to introduce a villain or to create an ominous feeling or something exciting, right? And that video games have a lot of this, like one moment this and another moment that, and it's triggered at a certain point in the game, right? And we feel like webcomics are going to do something very similar, where when a big fight scene happens, right, that's when the really powerful music comes in, or when the storm starts coming in a chapter, right, there's like a storm, that you hear thunder and you hear rain and these kinds of things. And so Cal's been really amazing with this, and really excited to start showing the world how it can connect with webcomics.
So is that now the music is available on SoundCloud? I see.
Some
The
tracks.
music is available on SoundCloud, and a lot more coming soon. Yeah.
Okay, and you're planning to release that on Spotify and other platforms like
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll release some OST albums with the release of our projects.
Yeah, for every project. Yeah.
Cool, super cool. Okay, so on your website we can see that you are in the process of looking for more artists who wish to join your team to create new audio episodes and other episodes of which you're planning, other comics which you're planning to release soon. And I have actually last question to you, lads. And what can we wish you at the end? Like, what are your closest goals? What are you trying to achieve in the first quarter of 2022?
Totally. I think rather than taking on tons more series right away in 2022, we were really focused on making the series we're currently developing the best they possibly can be, so that when we release them, everyone can get really excited about what Laurel Pursuit is doing. That being said, though, we are growing our team, and our goals in the new year is to be able to expand the studio, to have more artists come in, to improve our projects, and in the future to be able to continue pitching and taking on new series. But our immediate focus is definitely to get our two premiere series right now, DDA and Audia, out there for fans to enjoy and follow.
Yeah, just add on to that a little bit. I mean, we are trying to make our projects as good as possible, but as Taro said, we're also looking for new opportunities to create other really quality webcomics and manga. And if you do want to be part of the team and you're interested in making one of these comics with us, with a full team of people, Discord is always the first place we'll look. You can share your work there, you can talk to other creators, and you can also get close to us, and we can talk about collaborating on a project or staffing an artist on one of our upcoming projects. Otherwise, 2022 is going to be a really exciting year for us. DDA is coming out early in January, so look out for that. And Audia is going to be a really amazing project. I mean, the team we have for that, I think, is handpicked and really amazing. We don't know exactly where it's going to be released, so for now you have to follow us to see, but I can tell you that a few chapters are already made and they are mind-blowingly good. And stay up to date.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you so much, lads. I hope everyone will follow you from now on.
Yeah.
And so feel free to follow them on social media and obviously on Discord, and don't forget to follow Magma Studio social media as well, and to use our app also. So we'll make more probably webinars with Griffin and Taro. So hopefully to see you again, lads. And thank you so much for this conversation. for telling us about the industry. Very interesting chat, and thank you so much. And see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. See you next time.